Now, back to the clubhouse with Danielle Tucker.
KORL-1I, Honolulu. Craig Foster, founder of DynAlign, a pre-shot alignment technique that can help you square the club face at impact, whether you're putting, chipping, or in full shot mode. DynAlign.com. Welcome into the clubhouse, Craig.
Good morning, Danielle. It's just great to speak with you.
Oh, it's good to have you on the show. So, does this have anything? It feels almost like, you're following in Michelangelo's footsteps. We had somebody on from Italy earlier. Using the skeleton as something to think about. Tell us more about this putting stroke.
Yes, typically what you see players do, aim their putter first and then step in and build a stance. And when they do that, they're locking in variables in their joint motion. And so power is something we don't need in putting. We need accuracy. And so what DynAlign does, DynAlign is dynamic pre-shot alignment, and it stabilizes motion in 12 of the 13 major joints for a more repetitive and consistent stroke.
Okay.
And the similarity is the front end alignment in your car needs to be lined so you're not making constant adjustments in the steering wheel just to drive straight. We stabilize that motion during the pre-shot routine, so we aim the putter as the final step rather than the first step.
So, everybody puts their putter down and then steps into it. You're saying we should get stepped in and then put the putter down.
We get our grip set and our body stabilized,
okay,
and then we align. It's similar to an archer. The archer doesn't aim the arrow and then pull back and draw the bow. They take their final alignment once they've drawn the bow and got the delivery system stabilized, then they can aim it. So if you aim your putter first, you really haven't stabilized wrist joints, the critical radial ulnar joints in the forearms, which cause pronation and supination, which affects the face angle. Everybody talks about stabilizing the wrists and taking the hands out of the stroke. We're just the opposite. We do stabilize the wrist, but that motion that controls the face angle, opening and closing, that comes from motion in the forearms, those radius and ulna bones and the radial ulnar joints. And so we stabilize those during our gripping process. So we have that face is not opening or closing. And the setup makes a stable arc putting stroke. So we have a stable arc putting stroke with the face remaining virtually square to that arc during the stroke, which is, it's really the opposite. I'm not sure. I think everybody sees what they see on TV. They just kind of accept that those are the fundamentals. And we don't use a square stance. We don't use the symmetrical square stance. We have square feet, square hips, square shoulders. Your eyes are over the ball, because that sounds good. It sounds logical, symmetrical, but it's not really functional. That's where all the variables come in. It only takes a slight amount of motion in your forearms, shoulders, torso that can ruin your alignment. So we stabilize from the ground up. We stabilize the entire kinematic chain from the feet all the way up. And the other great benefit of this is the problem that people have of lifting their head and peaking on a putt. It's not a problem for us because we have so much stabilization from the neck down to the ground. You can look around. I've made videos about that. And so it's really a next generational approach to putting.
Wow. Craig, you're a club maker, right? Over 30 years?
I did that for, 35 years. I was a factory warranty repair center for the original Ben Hogan company from when it was in Texas. And that's a part of the reason that I discovered this technique is because I worked on golf clubs every day. I understood face angle, all these various parts of club design. And so that kind of filtered in with my development of this. Key to this was I had a severe wrist injury that kept me out of golf for 2 years. I was trying to increase my distance like everyone wants to do, and I damaged the lead wrist, and I went to hand specialist in Seattle, well-known hand surgeon. I learned about the bones and the joints and how things function. And so after I got back playing again, that's how this developed. I contracted the yips when I was younger, too. Very unusual. When I was in my 30s, I was too embarrassed to play with other people because I had yips. And so golf was it just meant so much to me. I played every day that I could. And so that's how I developed this technique, is just the understanding from the hand surgeon and the physical therapist about how things work, and then understanding golf club design. And so that's when I was discovered by Steve Elkington when he was still on the main tour. And he had 2 #1 rankings using my DynAlign technique. He made 471 consecutive 3-foot putts in a year without a miss.
Wow.
Without a miss.
Wow.
And then he was inside 5 feet. He had 595 attempts. He made 585 of them. So
that's amazing.
Remarkable.
Yes.
Yes.
That's like 98.30. Yeah, sorry.
That's 98%, yeah.
Yeah.
And then recently we had, most recently we had a win in the North Carolina Senior Open by PGA professional Hank Smith on the East Coast, and he won the North Carolina Senior Open with DynAlign. His comment was DynAlign is the best putting technique there is. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So we can find out it's Dyn, D-Y-N, Align,
A-L-I-G-N.
Thank you.
A-L-I, and golf. And so if you put in any Google or any search engine, any kind of spelling of DynAlign and then golf, as long as you have the golf in there, my site will pop up. On my YouTube, I've got, over 300 videos on my YouTube site too. So
right on. So we can go there and we can see it. You know, it's always hard to translate visually from speaking, you know, right? And so I want to give people an opportunity to see in action. So this is, we'd see the movement. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. And you can, there's on my website, it's DynAlignGolf.com website, there's videos of Steve Elkington using this in a professional event, and you can't really tell exactly what he's doing. You see that he's doing a pre-shot routine, but you can't really tell what the details are. It certainly looks like a routine, but you wouldn't understand how to do it necessarily from just watching someone do it. You have to have explanation of what's going on. And it can be very difficult even teaching players in front of me to have people do what you ask them to do. You know, that's the teacher's continual nightmares. You know, you're telling someone how to do something and they don't do it.
Yes.
So yes. But the thing about it is that it takes a bit of study to learn this, but once you learn this, it becomes a feel and second nature. It's like doing anything else that you've done a lot of repetition in. You don't think about the details anymore. And so that's a big benefit of this is you can remain focused on your putt, the line to your putt. As you're walking up to the ball, you can do the DynAlign pre-shot routine, but you can still remain focused on your putt because you've done this a number of times, and it takes repetition. It's like learning anything. Mm-hmm. But one of the great advantages of this is that my putting stroke is we've had it on hack motion, and it's just very consistent. And so once we line up for a putt, we don't have to try to guide that putt down the start line at a certain speed, because that's two things, and it takes your mind a moment to change focus from line to distance. And everyone's had the experience on a tough breaking putt where they're so focused on the line that they forget the distance, leave it short, or blow it well past. And so we can really focus on that force application in our putting stroke, and we can use our dominant hand because we've stabilized the whole system. Everyone says, well, I'm taking the hands out of the stroke. Well, your hand is your dominant hand. That's your best player. And if you're a coach and you take the best player out of the game, you're not going to be a coach very long. So there's just a lot of advantages to DynAlign.
That's so cool. Well, you know, one of the big questions people always ask, am I aligned correctly? I mean, you know,
Yes, and that goes back to the symmetrical setup, because players will consider fundamental to be square to the target line and have square shoulders and square hips, and if they'll say, well, you're a little bit open, you got to get square. Well, that doesn't really cover the variables. And you think of Jack Nicklaus's putting setup, tilted to the right. This is very similar to the way DynAlign puts you in a dress position that's very similar to Jack Nicklaus. He's head behind the ball. He's tilted to the right. He has an open stance. He can view down the line, and that's very functional. It's funny because people didn't really copy Jack Nicklaus in putting. they copied Tiger Woods. Tiger's got his square setup and everything, and he rotated the putter. He's Tiger Woods, and he can do those things. But we're more similar to Jack Nicklaus, who, with that open stance, he can see the line, his head's behind the ball, and we have the motion in these key joints is stabilized. So and it's synchronized too. When the putting stroke, during our putting stroke, when you take it back, you can feel motion in your legs because we're connected. It's a great advantage.
Great advantage. Craig Foster, founder of DynAlign, pre-shot alignment technique that will help you square the club face at impact, whether you're putting, chipping, or in full shot mode. It's DynAlign Golf, DynAlign golf.com. And as Craig says, put in DynAlign Golf. As long as you've got golf in there, it'll figure out what you're trying to say, and then you'll go right into Craig Foster's website. Thank you so much for being inside. I
have a new video ebook, and there's a 20% discount for your listeners if they put in DT, capital DT 20, 20% discount on the checkout with this new video ebook.
Far out. So yes, check it out. See if you like it. Go for it. Craig Foster, thank you.
Aloha, Danielle.
Aloha, Craig.